We'll start in Buffalo, where the Bills have announced extensions for both Coach Sean McDermott and GM Brandon Beane. The timing, curious. The motivations, possibly fortuitous for the Bills at a time when the pressure is mounting on the team in the aftermath of everything that happened last week with Stefon Diggs. This is a public show of support for the current power structure in Buffalo as a season that will be packed with pressure approaches. How the Bills feel on the back end of this season may be different. I take you back to last year, what happened in Arizona with Coach Cliff Kingsbury and GM Steve Keim. What happened? Contract extensions for both of them. An impression created that they're both safe beyond the 2022 season. What happened when the 2022 season ended? What happened? Anyone? Bueller? They both got let go. And there's a way the dominoes fall in Buffalo that after this season, a change is made. We don't know how the dominoes are going to fall, but even with these extensions, which simply took contracts that ran through 2025 and bumped them through 2027, we don't have access to the language. We don't know if the guarantees apply for 2026 and 2027. That's a device that is not all that uncommon now. It used to be that every dollar of a coaching contract was fully guaranteed. We don't know. We don't know, and we won't know. But if the goal is to reduce some of the pressure that we all believe existed in the aftermath of the weirdness from last week with Stefon Diggs, maybe it works. And I think for a lot of people in the fan base who don't pay really close attention to all of the granular nuances, the easy reaction is, hey, fine, ownership's fine, no problem, no issue. I still look at this from the perspective of a Bills fan, though. You've got Josh Allen. This is year 6 for him. At what point do you have to do more than just knock on the door? At what point do you have to kick the door open? And at what point do changes need to be made to allow the Bills to kick the door in, specifically an offensive-minded head coach? Look at what happened with Brian Daboll. They did a great job with Allen for a couple of years. He's gone. Now Ken Dorsey is the guy who's got to get up to speed and make the offense work. And what's Stefon Diggs supposedly upset about? The offense. It's not an offensive head coach. You're going to have a revolving door. If things go well, you're going to have a revolving door. If things don't go well, you're going to have a revolving door at offensive coordinator. It's another one of the reasons why I'm a firm believer that teams, especially teams with franchise quarterbacks, you want a coach who will be there year in and year out, building the rapport that layers onto itself season after season after season. Sean Payton, Drew Brees, 15 years being tied together. By the time you get year 2, year 3, year 4, you're so much better from the standpoint of understanding how the offense should work. The coach understands the quarterback understands the coach. There's nothing new that needs to take everyone back to square one. That's a reality. And that's nothing against defensive coaches. It's a recognition of where the game currently is. You need a franchise quarterback, and you need to get the most out of that franchise quarterback. And so far, the Bills have not done it. So I don't think this means anything other than nothing to see here. Bills are telling the world nothing to see here. There may be something to see after the season, but for now, there's nothing to see. It's the same vibe we got last week when they mended fences with Stefon Diggs. Nothing to see here, even though there was plenty to see between Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning when Sean McDermott eventually said nothing to see here 24 hours after he said he was very concerned that Stefon Diggs wasn't there. And I wonder what Diggs thinks of this. I wonder how they explain this to him, because it was Kirk Cousins getting an extension in Minnesota that was, by all appearances, the trigger that got Diggs to tweet his way out of Minnesota. That was the final straw. Apparently, if we look at the timeline, if we trust the things we've kind of heard behind the scenes over the past few years, that affirmation of Cousins was enough to get Diggs to say, I'm out. Is this affirmation of the coach and the GM something that Diggs will react to in similar fashion? He's always good for a few cryptic tweets. And I think it makes sense to check Twitter over the course of the next 24 hours to see if there's a cryptic tweet from Stefon Diggs that would express something from him about his feelings on the situation. Because remember how this all happened. Monday of last week, he shows up for a physical and for meetings in advance of mandatory minicamp, meetings with the coach and the GM. Tuesday, meets with the coach and the GM again, and then he's gone. We were led to believe he basically stormed out. He goes to social media and posts something about people telling lies, and then the next day the toothpaste is back in the tube. Was he told to leave after maybe raising his voice, maybe acting in a manner that a head coach would regard as disrespectful? We don't know, and we won't know. But maybe we will know what Diggs thinks about the extensions given to McDermott and Beane today by the Buffalo Bills. Maybe there will be a cryptic tweet that we can try to analyze over the weekend. If so, thank you in advance, Stefon, for giving us something to write about during what really is the low water point for the NFL news cycle, this last Monday in June that's coming up, that week going into the 4th of July. Usually there isn't a whole lot that happens, so I will not complain about anything that may fall out of the sky to give us something to discuss. One last thing about this Bills extension. And I pause not for effect, but because I want to choose my words carefully here. But the lawyer in me was alarmed by something contained in the statement from the Buffalo Bills as it relates to Sean McDermott. Sean is a proud, Christian, determined man. That's what Terry Pegula said in the statement. And I understand that there are very strong Christian beliefs that permeate football organizations, top to bottom, in the NFL. I understand that. I understand that Christianity is the predominant religion in the United States of America. I get it. But there are also some pretty clear laws that protect those whose beliefs are not conventional. And I can't help but wonder whether or not this statement was run by the Bills' in-house or outside legal counsel, because if this had crossed my desk, man, I got a change to make to your statement, Mr. Pegula, if you don't mind. You're paying me to help keep you out of legal jeopardy. I would suggest that maybe we remove the word Christian, because it carries an implication that we only want Christian coaches, Christian general managers, Christian employees. I mean, think of how it would look if it said, Sean is a proud Muslim determined man. Sean is a proud Jewish determined man. It would stand out to a lot of people as odd. Well, to anyone who's Muslim or Jewish, having the word Christian in there stands out. It feels exclusionary. It's a factor that has no relevance whatsoever to someone's coaching ability, someone's job performance, none whatsoever. And it's a protected class under state, federal, and local law. It's a mistake to shine a light on something like that. What if it said Sean is a proud white man? It's just as bad. These are protected categories: race, age, religion, gender. It's just something that was alarming to me. And also, I don't see anything about Brandon Beane being a proud Christian determined man in the statement. I wonder what Brandon thinks. Hey, Sean got called a proud Christian. I didn't. I'm always on the lookout for unforced errors and things that could cause legal problems later. Boy, this is just bad from a PR standpoint and a legal standpoint, because the next time the Bills are looking for a coach, if there is a non-Christian under consideration and that person doesn't get the job, this statement announcing the extension for Sean McDermott becomes Exhibit A if there is any legal proceeding. Because nobody ever comes out and admits that they hired someone because they were Christian, or didn't hire them because they weren't, hired someone because they were white, didn't hire them because they weren't, hired someone because they were a man, didn't hire them because they weren't. They never admit that. Those cases end right away. In the rare instance that you have that kind of smoking gun with the bullet exiting the chamber on film, that rarely happens, and those cases resolve immediately. When you have to prove one of these cases, and this is the work I did when I was practicing law, you have to rely upon circumstantial evidence. You have to weave basically a tapestry together of statements and comparisons of how people who fall in the protected class are treated versus the people who aren't in the protected class. They get excuses made. The example is made of the person in the protected class. That's how you prove it. When you've got something like this, proud Christian determined man, if there ever is a lawsuit against the Buffalo Bills alleging that they did not hire someone for a key job because of their religious beliefs, it's going to be a problem. And regardless of whether or not the Bills end up in some sort of legal predicament. What are we doing sending these messages? Should we not be sending messages of inclusion regardless of these characteristics? Did I think we've evolved to the point where we can agree that they don't matter? They shouldn't matter. So why does it matter that Sean is a proud Christian determined man? Why is that even worth pointing out? It has that implicit effect of making others feel excluded. All right, I'll move on, lest I go woke and go broke. And while I'm here, nobody can define what woke means. Well, regardless, in the absence of a definition, let's just treat everybody equally. And let's accept everyone for who they are and give everyone fair opportunities for the same jobs. And when we apply labels like that, what it does is it sends a not so subtle message that we are looking for a certain type. We are looking for a Christian, not a non-Christian. It's just something to keep in mind as things continue to move forward. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.